Most people don't realize this, but the home that you want to retire in could cost $100,000 to $200,000 more by the time that you want to retire. And if that's 5 to 10 years away, there's a real chance that house could slip away. Not because you didn't save enough, but because your income will drop in retirement. That's why so many smart buyers are doing something different right now. They're buying the home now, renting it out while they wait, then they move in later once their life lines up, like maybe their kids go to college. And after helping over 500 families, I started to notice a pattern. Most people using the buy and move later playbook were either retiring soon or relocating. And the strategy ended up saving them from getting priced out and a ton of money in the long run. And you might be one of those people too. So let's break it down. So Nathan, I'd like to introduce you to said client. So this is actually coming from real estate agent. It's more of a scenario semi-question as well. So I had a pleasure of speaking with them yesterday about their next real estate move. To bring you up to speed, their plan is to rent their current property and purchase a second property. This might sound familiar for anyone watching this because they're like, hey, I bought like 5 years ago in 2020, my rate is like 2%. Now rates are higher, what do I do? Current property and purchase a second property. The second will be similar to what they have now, but maybe with some additional features. Could you schedule a Zoom call with them, etc., and send some documents, right? So let me draw the problem here. So basically, kudos to these clients. Let's not put a chimney on this one. Okay, so first house, right? So you have the first house, you're super stoked because you bought it when rates were super low. Now it's worth 500K, right? Now your mortgage is like 300K, as an example, 300K, okay? So you have about $200,000 of equity, right? The next house you want to buy something similar. So maybe because of how home prices work, you want something a little bit bigger, not drawn to scale. So please don't judge me on that. And then this one, we're going to draw a little chimney right over here. So this one gets a chimney. It's a little upgrade, okay? And then this one is worth like 700K, but rates went up, right? And then your mortgage that you want to get is, kind of TBD, and then TBD on the equity. But you basically want to upgrade to over here, maybe because it's a bigger house, better school district, pretty common. So how do we do this? Because now we're going to get 2 mortgages. My income, I know I'm going to rent this out, but like my income definitely can't support 2 mortgages if the lender doesn't count the rental income. And for rental income, like I don't have a tenant in there, so how does that work? So we're going to go over that today, okay? So first, let's talk about how to use this equity to go buy the next house. So if you haven't watched in my YouTube video, basically how to own 2 houses and use the equity to go buy the next one, I have a deeper dive on that. So you can check that out on my video, or I'll put like a card right over here. That way you can watch it just in case, after you watch this, please. And then let me walk you through like 3 ways you can unlock equity. So option number 1 is gonna be, and equity, by the way, is your house wallet. So that's this number right here. So how do I unlock this? Because it's in my house. I'm like, I have a lot of money in my house, but how do I use that to go take something out, right? So you can do a cash out. You can do, and I'm gonna go over like when I recommend using this, okay? So cash out is gonna be getting rid of your current mortgage. So if you have a 2% interest rate, rates are right now 6.5, kind of like in that range as of recording this. Fingers crossed, it's gonna go down, right? Below 6, and I wouldn't recommend that at all. Like if you have a 2% rate or 3% rate, you're gonna go to 6. Like don't do this. Don't do this at all. But if you bought 2 years ago, maybe your rate's 6, 7-ish, 7.5 or something like that, then I would recommend refinancing, or then you could do a cash out because more than likely you would lower your payment and take more money out. And plus that money is tax-free. So a little pro tip. Next is gonna be your HELOAN. So if you have a current mortgage at a 3% rate, you would simply get another mortgage, okay? This one, you would basically get rid of your mortgage and you would get a new one at current market rates. So this one, you get to add on to it. So you get to keep your low interest rate if you got a low interest rate. If you didn't, I may recommend a cash out, okay? And this is fixed payments. So this is fixed, okay? Usually 30-year fixed, second mortgage. So it's gonna be this bad boy right here, okay? Then you're gonna have the HELOC, home equity line of credit. It's kind of similar thing where if you have a 3%, you would add on to this mortgage, but this time it is adjustable, which may not be good for a lot of people because like if rates go up on this second mortgage, your monthly payment calculation will go up as well. So you want to use this correctly. So HELOANs are fixed, HELOCs are adjustable, but here's the kicker where it kind of makes it like this is kind of a pro, this is a negative, but then the other situation is you would have to pay all. This one you pay as you go. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you don't find a house for another, you get the HELOC, but you don't find a house for 3 years, then you use it, then you pay. This one, if you get the HELOAN and you locked in a crazy awesome HELOAN rate, but you have to pay that at closing. So if you haven't found the house and you pay this for 3 years, that for sure would be way more than this. So what you want to do is, if you are for sure going to be buying a house, then I would chat with your mortgage advisor and ask them, hey, should I do this or should I do this right here? And because there's also a mechanism component, or what are the pros and cons, like how does this work? There's also a time component because like, you know, pretend this is like the interest rate cycle. Like rates go up, they go down, you know, stuff like that. So imagine rates are going down this way. So you've kind of hit your worst case scenario and they're going down, meaning kind of like where we're at right now is more than likely rates are going to have peaked from like over a year ago, year and a half, where rates were like really close to 7.5%, 8%, crazy. Then more than likely the HELOC might make more sense. So I would recommend the HELOC here, kind of like as it goes down here, okay? Then for the HELOAN, I may recommend this kind of like right over here. Hopefully you guys can see this. So the HELOAN right over here, like kind of like where it's hitting the bottom, I would say, because you can always refinance the HELOC into a HELOAN when rates have kind of hit the bottom and you've seen rates go up. And when I say rates go down or up, look at 2 quarters in a row, QTR. I would say 2 to 3 actually, okay? This isn't Bitcoin, mortgage rates aren't Bitcoin, but if it's gone down 2 quarters in a row, so 6 months to 9 months, and it's gone down, kind of like where we're at right now, it's been going down, 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 down from a macro perspective, I would say then you're kind of in a downward trend. And if rates have kind of stayed the same in 2 to 3 quarters, stayed the same meaning like within 1/4%, probably in the stable mark section. And if you've seen it going up, meaning it's gone up 1/4%, 1/4%, 1/4%, 6 to 9 months in a row, you're probably kind of in this upward trend right here. So whoop, and then you go back over here, whoop, right over there. That's how I'd kind of use that as a rough gauge. I know it's kind of hard to say like, oh, this is exactly the peak. You don't know that until, you know, hindsight 2020, but that's kind of like my rule of thumb. When I say rates are going downward, I mean like 6 to 9 months in a row, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Now we're gonna talk about how do we qualify for the next house, because I'm gonna have more debt, Nathan, because I'm taking out more debt to go buy another house with more debt, right? So how does this work? So this is where you're gonna have, depending on the loan program, so I'm gonna stick with conventional because that's the most common. You can do this with FHA and VA, but there's more rules there. And again, I don't wanna bore everyone to death with all the nuances. If you have more questions on like FHA, VA, etc., send me a DM on Instagram and I can walk you through it. We do this every day. Okay, so you're gonna have like a lease agreement, like a lease, okay? This is basically what lenders can use. So let's say your mortgage is like $2,000 a month. And then you can get a lease right now because you bought like maybe 5-10 years ago and rents have gone up. Maybe you can get a lease so you have a lease and then you can get $3,000, right? You would think, okay, now cool, I wiped everything out and then I'm good to go. But lenders will actually use $3,000 times 75% of this value. So it'll actually be more like $2,250, if I'm doing the math right, that they would use to offset this debt right here, your mortgage. So basically, effectively, you have an extra $250 of cash flow, but most guidelines won't allow you to use that income if you don't have any prior rental experience. So effectively, you have what the lender sees is $0 per month for this original house debt, which I think is an awesome opportunity to really expand. So your mortgage advisor and real estate agent should be working closely with you if they're experienced real estate agent and experienced mortgage advisor, and walk you through the timing of this and stuff like that. But this is a great mechanism. It's called departing residence in like the technical lingo lender term. But this is a great way to offset this mortgage or completely wipe it out to go buy the next house, because you're almost like buying this house with no debt, basically, if you can provide that lease agreement with some terms and conditions, of course. So how can you actually project how much you could get here's some rules of thumbs. Is I would ask your realtor. Anyone watching this, if your realtor cannot predict this, you have a who problem, not a what problem. I would also look at Zillow. Zillow rents, of course, right? Not purchase. Rentometer. Mashvisor is another one that we use as well, kind of like an aggregate. If you want to Airbnb it, you can do AirDNA as well. So that's a great one for Airbnb. That's probably the most popular one. So basically you take all of these sources, or get as much as you can, then average those together, and that'll get you a projected market rents. At the end of the day, the lender's gonna order an appraisal for this house, and they'll verify that the rents are actually legitimate, but your realtor should be able to like get pretty close to that. But I use all of these data sources. You know, if I'm not doing Airbnb, I would ignore that and kind of do an aggregate of the three, or average of. So hopefully that helps you if you have a current house and plan on buying the next house. All right, so I hope the buy and move later playbook helps you or someone you might know that might be retiring or relocating. Also, YouTube is recommending this video right over here, which shows you how to pay off your mortgage faster without having to be rich or without having to disrupt your current lifestyle. So I think you'll like it. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.